organized crime, America's most dangerous men began a war.
If Bumpy Johnson wants a war,
Dutch Schultz writes policy in Harlem!
I'll splatter this city with his blood.
A war about power.
Think about your future, not our demise.
No, I can't do that.
About money.
Judges don't come cheap.
That's true. They're the crookedest crooks around.
A war of wills.
Mr. Schultz insists on coming uptown. I have no choice but to make my presence felt downtown.
Between legends.
It's time to take a stand.
Every man of his I kill, he kills one of mine.
A man wants to be successful in this business, he has to make alliances.
A war about a line
Someone has to be ready to die.
You wanna test me?
that should never have been crossed.
Better up. No!
You want to do this peaceful?
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the channel. You see those clips at the beginning? Those are from the 1997 classic, at least for me, classic late 90s film Hoodlum. I think it's an unsung gangster film of the 90s that it gets swept under the rug. A lot of people never even heard of it, which I don't know how you could not heard of this one. It's a great cast. Just great movie. I'm not saying it's the best thing ever made. I mean, it's not critically acclaimed, but you know, that can't stop you from having some fun. I think this is a movie that you can watch. It's fun. It's a fun ride, and it's got a great cast. It's got a great cast. When you go back and I looked at this, like, the cast is pretty good. And we'll start with the director. This film is directed by Bill Duke. I mean, you may know Bill Duke from, you done fucked up, right? You done fucked up. Menace to Society. Oh, he also played Mac in Predator. Bill Duke just has one of those faces. You see him, you're like, I know who Bill Duke is. But he did a good job directing this film. He took some liberties with some things, but we'll talk about that later on. But all in all, like I said, this is a fun movie. So to the cast, we have Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Bumpy Johnson. The character of Bumpy Johnson in this film, he's one part ruthless gangster, and the other half, he's a compassionate man who's very kind, who cares about his community and is trying to stand up and protect his community. And we move on to Tim Roth, who plays Dutch Schultz, who plays the antagonist, the psychotic antagonist to Bumpy in this film. His key is he wants to take over Harlem and put a chokehold on the Harlem's numbers games that are controlled by the black community. And so this guy, he is unpredictable and unhinged. It's a great performance by Tim Roth. He plays a great villain in this. We also have Andy Garcia, who plays Lucky Luciano, who serves as a counterbalance to Dutch. And he kind of represents the sophistication of the mafia. So he's definitely a much needed counterbalance to him. We also have Cicely Tyson, the late great Cicely Tyson, who plays Madam Stephanie Sinclair, who's running the numbers game, because at the beginning of the film, Bumpy, he's coming out of prison and he goes to work for Stephanie Sinclair. We also have Clarence Williams III, rest in peace to him as well. But like I said, it's a great cast, and just overall fun ride. And so when I think about the movie, some of the themes that the movie covers, one of them is race inequality, because this movie takes place in the 30s. I guess that would be what you would call the Harlem Renaissance era. And you see firsthand the racial dynamics of organized crime. I mean, you look at Bumpy and his crew. They operate with the honor and integrity as, the Italians would in their families. But then again, they're still looked down upon, like them and Harlem. It's at one point in the movie, Luciano's like, Harlem is pennies. It's not even worth our time. Whereas Schultz, he wants a piece of the action. He wants to take over. Also, one of the themes in the film is violence and its consequences, because in this film, Bumpy Johnson eventually ascends to running Harlem. Now, initially, everybody loves it. Him standing up to the man, standing up to Dutch Schultz, who has been terrorizing Harlem. And so Bumpy starts to get this notoriety, and you start to see the consequences in that notoriety. Like people want to be a part of him. Like there was a boy who, a young man he meets early in the film, later on wants to be a runner for him, and eventually, because of him joining the fray with Bumpy Johnson, unfortunately he's lost. Now at the same time, by him taking over, he becomes a target, and there's assassination plots put out on him. And then it gets to the point where him and his own cousin are at odds because of how he's running things. If he just, it makes you think, if I just was it the right thing? It's kind of one of those things that makes his character very complex. Like I said, he's one part ruthless gangster, but at the same time, he's a kind man. He wants to stand up for his community, but by standing up for his community, there's a cost to it. And the movie does a great job of showing that cost. And like I said, the notoriety gets, there's a flip side to that. And like I said, his cousin tells him at one point in the movie, before you took over or came here, Harlem was still at night, like it was quiet. And now look at it, it's turned into a war zone, and one of the things also, like I said, it's about loyalty and community, where you have Bumpy's character who's very loyal and wants to take care of his people, where you have Schultz, who is a snake, and like I said, he's unhinged, unpredictable. He could give you $100 or shoot you. You just don't know. He's that volatile. You just don't know. But I just did, like I said, I wanted to do this video because, like I said, I own this, and I just happened to watch it yesterday, and I was like, man, let me get on here and talk about it. I wonder if anybody else remembers this classic. I mean, I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not critically acclaimed. I'm sorry. I'm not putting it in the same class as some of the 90s gangster films, such as Goodfellas, Casino, Miller's Crossing, New Jack City, Sugar Hill. It's not quite on their level, but like I said, it's fun, and like I said, the cast is a stellar a stellar cast. Now, one of the knocks on the film, for some, I'm sorry about that. If you hear that noise buzzing in the background, closing the laundry. I'll let that play out. Okay. So one thing I'll say about this is a knock on it is the historical inaccuracies in the film. So when you do films on, and you guys probably know this, when you do films on, real life characters for a dramatic sense, you have to take liberties with some things. And they do quite a bit on here. And like, just some of the ones I can think of is, like, for one, like Bumpy, they did not win the war. Harlem did not become independent. Actually, Bumpy ended up working for the mob until his death. He ran Harlem, but the mob was his boss. He reported to them. He wasn't independent. Also, the war, Madam Sinclair, and they were defeated by Dutch Schultz. Dutch Schultz actually won the war that was in the film. Also, Thomas Dewey, the prosecutor. Sorry, once again, it's going off again. My wife put laundry in while I was doing all this. But anyway, okay, that should be it. But Thomas Dewey, the prosecutor, they made him to be dirty in this movie, and he was not. By all reports, he was clean, and he did not take any bribes. But in this movie, they made him dirty, and he took bribes. But like I said, they did it for the sake of drama, and they took artistic liberties. But I would think for the most part, they got the sense of each one of these characters or who they were. Just they tweaked a few things as far as actual events. But all in all, like I said, it's a great little gangster film. I would say also starts off very well. First act's great. Second act kind of drifts, and then they're like, oh crap, we got to end this. And then the third act comes through, and then the movie just kind of abruptly ends. So I would say great first act, terrible I won't say terrible, but not so good second act. And third is lukewarm at best. It's like, oh, we got to wrap this up. So I thought they could have been a better job from acts 2 and 3. But like I said, all in all, it's a fun ride, and I highly recommend you check it out. So with that being said, everybody, like I always say, if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, or the whole damn video, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. If you haven't, go ahead, hit that subscribe, smash a like, get in the comments. Tell me, do you remember this one? Do you remember Hoodlum? And what are your memories on Hoodlum? Did you enjoy it, or did you think it was, wasn't that good, or what? What do you think about it? So with that being said, everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and punch out of here. And guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.